Just hard ramping into Cultivator Colossus on turn 4. That's pretty interesting. Oh, they hit the ring off the top. Of course they hit a 1 ring. We have Titan next turn, thanks to Utopia Sprawl. And people like to play freaking Sakura Tribe Elder. I'd like to see Sakura Tribe Elder do this. Hello and welcome, guys. I am doing this one just for YouTube, just for y'all, partially because my schedule doesn't allow me to just stream all at once, and also because I am excited to play this, and when I have some free time, I want to play it. So I mentioned in my last video, testing out some of the new cards from Lost Caverns of Ixalan, that we have access to Sunken Citadel, which taps for 2 mana to activate Castle Garenbrig, among other things like transmuting Tolaria West, on top of Spelunking from the new set that seem to have some amount of a place in Amulet, at least Spelunking specifically, and possibly Sunken Citadel as well. However, I'm actually more excited for these cards in the deck that you see in front of you today. This is my, I guess you could say, most recent version of Mono Green Valakut, as I like to affectionately call it, the classic Mono Green Zero Mountain deck that activates Valakut the Molten Pinnacle. And there's a lot of interesting stuff going on here. You'll notice we have a huge amount of turn 1 forest sources, including fetch lands, breeding pool, and forest themselves, and that is to enable turn 1 Utopia Sprawl as a ramp spell that fixes us for Tolaria West and allows us to play against Blood Moon very well. We also have Spelunking, and because Spelunking allows us to do a little bit of the whole Amulet combo thing, with our Titans, we can now search for 1 copy of Hanweir Battlements. Of course, it was always possible to get a bounce land in Hanweir, pick up the Hanweir, and play it for turn, but it's a little harder to jump through that hoop, whereas just having a Spelunking play is a little bit easier. But other than that, we are playing 1 copy of Cultivator Colossus. In past lists, this would have been a Hydroid Crisis, but since we have Spelunking, I'm excited to see if Cultivator, just as a singleton, can work in this shell. We've still got our 1 rings here for refilling our hand and finding more land drops to play with Dryad, since we are not as all in on bounce lands with this shell, especially since they play poorly with Utopia Sprawl, and we're using up a lot of slots for turn 1 forest sources in the mana base. So yeah, I mean, the sideboard is probably a mess, but that's because I don't yet know how to build this deck, so I won't really have much to say about it until after the league, probably. So without further ado, let's jump into match 1. Alright, it looks like we're getting in here for match 1. This is a great time to remind you, by the way, that if you like my videos and are watching and are not subscribed, then you should subscribe, because it helps me out, and hopefully it helps you out too by giving you some content to watch. Playing against a Kahira deck, so probably some sort of control deck. I mean, against control, we have a turn 3 ring, we have Cultivator, which is a key card in the matchup, probably. I mean, I think we just keep this for sure. When we want to sequence Sunken Citadel is interesting, because if we play turn 1 Sprawl, we can top deck a Dryad or a Spelunking and be able to play it. So probably want to lead on turn 1 Sprawl, and maybe if we don't draw anything, we go turn 2 Sunken Citadel, turn 3 Castle. Actually, I guess that line lets us cast Titan on turn 3 if we draw it too, so Tolaria West is something that we can transmute with the Citadel, so let's lead on Sprawl, naming, I guess, green, so that we can Sunken Citadel on blue. Because if we play Sunken Citadel and then next turn Castle, we just have turn 3 Titan mana already. Alright, let's go ahead with the plan. Name blue for the Citadel, so we can transmute this TOS for Summoner's Pact. Opponents on Breeding Pool Basic Island, huh? And Misty Rainforest go. Alright, well, I guess we'll go Castle into Ring, and then if this doesn't resolve, the next turn we can slam Colossus. Counterspell, sure. I don't know that there's a Cavern of Souls on this list. I think there's probably not. Let me go check. No Caverns. Kind of hard to play Cavern when you want all of your turn 1 green sources to be actual forests for Sprawl, but maybe it's a bit of an oversight. Huh, Titan, huh? I mean, if we Cultivator, we're only drawing 3 cards here, whereas if we Titan and it resolves, then we can set up, I don't know, something else. We don't have Urza Saga to set up with Titan like you would in like a Amulet Titan list, so that's worth considering. If we Cultivator, I guess there's some possibility we would be able to haste Titan, depending on if we draw like a Sunken Citadel or something along those lines. Interesting. Hold on a second. Okay, so we have Valakut as a red source that we can haste with. I wasn't sure if I actually have any red sources for hasting Titan in the deck list, just naturally. I think I want to just slam Cultivator here, although it's kind of awkward because I don't really want to put the TOS into play exactly, but I think we're going to do it. It's most mana efficient as well, so 1 Cultivator Colossus, please, on turn 4. Just hard ramping into Cultivator Colossus on turn 4. That's pretty interesting. Ah, it resolved. Alright, so we got our Ancestral Recall for free here. Yep, that was a good Cultivator Colossus. Look at that. That was something, wasn't it? Cultivator's also a little better in this deck since we're not constantly picking up our lands. They 0 Jace. Oh, now we can pack for Dryad and go Dryad into Titan, probably. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we can definitely both Dryad and Titan this turn, which I would love to do. Solitude, this we expected. I was gonna attack them with Cultivate. Actually, I don't know if I would have attacked them or Jace, but I was gonna attack before committing anything. But now we just have the all clear. Let's see. We have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So if we go Pact, Dryad, play Titan, I think we can haste Titan by getting Bounce Land, Hanweir, and then tapping for red with Dryad ability. Let's see if the Summoner's Pact resolves first. They could have Force. Oh, it resolves, okay. Well, here's a Dryad, and we'll activate Castle Garenbrig, tapping for green with the Dryad ability here. How do you feel about one Primeval Titan hitting the battlefield, opponent? So we could go for the haste here, but if they have Solitude to hit our Titan when we try to haste it, and then an answer for our Dryad, we're in bad shape. So maybe just going for like Valakut and Bounce Land to pick up TUS is better. That way if they Solitude, we can also fetch in response to kill the Jace. I think I like Valakut and Bounce Land. It could just be double Valakut as well. I don't hate that. It makes Dryad more of a threat. Actually, we might have lethal here. If we go double Valakut, that's 12. We can play Garenbrig and send another. So we can do 18 if we fetch and they have nothing for this Dryad. If they don't have second Solitude, I guess they're just dead. So I think I'd rather present lethal, to be honest, and just ignore their Jace, because they have to have second Solitude here, which is going to cost them 2 cards, and we'll still have Titan on the battlefield and Titan ready to go. So let's just see if this works. Looks like they're dead. Well, that's one of the benefits of playing a deck with a bunch of fetch lands too, is because getting Dryad triggers is a lot easier in this shell than it is in Amulet. All right, against control, we want the Ring. We want Boseiju for Leyline Binding, probably. Force of Vigor is interesting because they have Beans and they have Bindings, most likely. I don't mind like a couple, but it's kind of dead. And then obviously we want all the flash threats we can get against control. That Cultivator did a lot of work, didn't it? I didn't expect it to be that good, to be honest. All right, this is a matchup where we can trim on castles, despite how good they were, because we're not really in a rush to do anything here. Sunken Citadel is great, though, because it lets us transmute TUS very easily. Maybe we just cut, a 31 land seems like a good number. Utopia Sprawl is maybe not great against them. Is it better than Grazer, though? Probably. I guess if they have some crazy, like, Force of Vigor or, like, Back to Nature type hate in the sideboard for other Bean matchups, then Sprawl could be a bit of a liability, but I think we can trim Grazer at least and 1 Sprawl, because we don't need as many turn 1 sources here. We can, we could trim a Summoner's Pact, but I think having threat density is important, so Pact is maybe okay. Go down 1 more, Garenbrig, 30 lands. I think I don't want to cut any lower than that. Spelunking seems amazing. Maybe 4 Endurance is too many. We could, like, go 3 Endurance, or even 2, to be honest. We could also keep the castles and just board out some of our basics, and, like, the Utopia Sprawls, and keep Grazer instead. I don't hate that, because I think our basics matter a lot less. I guess I'd rather board out a couple fetch lands than just all basics, because we don't want to run out of fetchables. So maybe, like, 2 fetch lands, 2 basics, keep the castles. And then we want to swap the Sprawls for the Grazers, and then keep 30 lands. Maybe we keep Radiant Fountain in case they have, like, flash threats, like Subtlety, that are clocking us. Actually, I don't really care, to be honest, if they have that. Let's just keep 1 more fetch for Dryad Valakut purposes and run like this. Siding out Utopia Sprawl is not something I've usually done, but since we have so many lands in the sideboard, I feel like it can be done here. So, well, we have a hand with cards, so I guess we're going to keep this. Can't really afford to be super picky with hands with this deck. Plus, I mean, it's not like we're going to have anything early to cast anyways. So we'll Sunken Citadel naming blue. And then probably go Forest and start beating down with Endurance. They got the Bean online. Oh, Dryad's a fantastic pickup. Well, let's Sunken Citadel on green. Next turn we can go Dryad, and if they counter it, then we get to follow up with the One Ring. Or we can just hold up Endurance if they're just going to hold up their mana gear. Maybe just holding up Endurance is fine. We have a TUS that we can transmute as well sometime down the line. I think I'm just going to cast Endurance here, to be honest. If they want to play games with their mana, I'll just let them not use it. They're not fetching for Leyline Binding, so that's interesting. Do we Endurance here? I feel like we can. Let's just Endurance now. They could have like Wrenn and 6, and this prevents them from getting us with Wrenn, and then next turn we can either play Dryad or Ring, or nothing, depending on what we want to do here. Because we already have a threat on the field. Not that it's a particularly hard threat for them to deal with, and I feel like for sake of efficiency of mana, we should be playing One Ring, although I think One Ring is a little more important that we keep in play than Dryad, so it's kind of like not obvious. We can also transmute Tolaria West, so we can go like land, Dryad, land, transmute, using one of the Citadels if our Dryad resolves. I don't know what it would be transmuting for, but I think I'm trying Dryad this turn, leaving the Sunken Citadel on blue up so that we can play Misty and tap both of these without even having to crack the Misty thanks to Dryad, and just transmute immediately. If they want to counter this, that's fine too. Sure. We're just trying to burn through a counterspell there anyways. We'll go to combat and swing. They're at 8. They could just, you know, die to this endurance, I guess. Let's slam a ring. See if this gets countered. Oh, it resolved? Okay, okay. And we'll play Sunken Citadel naming red so we can Hanweir. And we'll just pass. No reason to do anything while they could potentially binding our ring. So we'll wait until the last possible second to draw. They shocked. So I guess they have Solitude or something. There's the binding we were expecting. I mean, they still have to deal with this endurance eventually. Another 3-drop would be the best draw. Castle's fine. We're one short of Castle plus, like, Castle, play Titan, and play a ring all in the same turn, which is fascinating to me. Thank you, Sunken Citadel, I suppose. Here's the Solitude. Okay, so our endurance is gone. Let's play another ring, I guess. Gotta tap the mana appropriately here. I guess we play Garenbrig so we can transmute TOS for another Summoners Pact. And we'll go leave the Sunken Citadel on blue up. Play a ring, see if they want to do something about this. Nope, okay. And we're going to use it now, so if they, actually, using it now was not great, but that's fine. Let's transmute this TOS for Summoner's Pact and keep the threats coming. Not gonna lie, I kind of wish that I had a Hydroid Crisis in the deck about now. That is something that I do wish that we had access to here. Maybe playing one Crisis in the sideboard is still worth it, even if we have a Colossus main. I've kind of figured that with Colossus we wouldn't need Crisis, but Crisis would look real good about now. The fact that Sunken Citadel makes transmuting Tolaria West more easily available is really nice. Hey, Colossus is a very good one. Let's draw with our ring and see if our opponent has something to say about it. They don't. Dude, Force is so good here. Force is actually so good. Okay, now what do we want to do? We can play land, pact, cast Titan, and still have instant speed Force up for these two. So I guess that's what we're going to go for. We can also force pitching a green card if we want to. Let's go blue. Hold on. Gotta tap these for the Garenbrig activating ability. Alright, and we'll play our Titan. See if our opponent has something they want to say about that. Subtlety. Heard and understood. Okay, so I guess we'll put this one... Oh, I should have maybe forced already, so that we could draw this Titan. Top that one. I mean, I could just cast one ring, or we could do nothing, or we could pack for, like, Dryad and cast it. Oh, they evoked Subtlety as well. I didn't notice that. Well, that makes... I mean, we're gaining a lot of card advantage here, somehow. I guess we just pass? Honestly, I might shuffle away the Titan anyways. Maybe that's bad, though. Binding. Sure. Yeah, I guess we're just gonna force now. Sorry, Titan, you gotta get shuffled away. And we'll just get basic forest. Nothing too crazy here. We could hit, I guess we hit Binding and Beanstalk. See if they have a counterspell. No? Cool. This feels pretty commanding, I'm not gonna lie. Now we have a Valakut to make a natural Dryad a big problem for them. How are we just slowly and surely dismantling all of this? Another Beanstalk is kind of problematic. We would like them not to have that, but it's fine. They're at 4 as well. That is not a high life total. Jace, okay. Well, probably gonna pack for Dryad to try to clock that one, and then follow up with a Colossus because we just have all the mana in the world. Okay. Oh, that's right, we have to pay for pack. Forgot about that little detail. Interesting. I guess we can draw with the ring before we pay for pack, just to see if that informs what we want to do. Okay. So I guess we're just paying like this. That way we can still activate Garenbrig. This is the turn to play Colossus, I think. I mean, Colossus will definitely resolve if we play it, but like, we're not really getting that much value out of it, are we? Oh, we can pact for Dryad and go Valakut land and present lethal, and they have to have exactly Solitude right now. Yeah, that's definitely going to be the play. Here's one Dryad of the Listening Grove. Play Valakut, send one up at you. Always yes, always yield, and then play Forest and see if they're dead. Oh, they have the Solitude. Oh, but they get to draw a card from Beanstalk, which is annoying. Okay, well, there's a Solitude. Alright, we'll pass back. See if we're getting buried by this Jace. They're at 1. They are at 1 life. Also, if I have Besaiju's, I should have boarded them in now I think about it. Maybe I do have... Does this list not have Besaiju? Because it should have. Oh, we have 2 Besaiju's, so there's that. Another Beanstalk. Dang it. They're just coming back with all the cards, huh? Alright, now they're down to 1 card in hand, so we can play in Haste Titan here, probably, and just try to kill them. Alright, we'll make the same play as before. We'll draw with our ring before we pay for pact, just to see what's up. Endurance, okay. So we pay, like, well, we need access to red mana here. Well, we can leave a red floating for the Citadel and use the other red to activate, so probably paying like this is okay. Yes. Spelunking. Well, that one's pretty good. It's kind of awkward to try to cast it here, though. So we've Spelunking, tapping the Garenbrig, put the bounce in. Now we need to be able to activate Garenbrig here. We could fetch out a basic and Spelunking in the land and activate Garenbrig, leave red floating. And then, I mean, honestly, at that point, we're going to be able to haste our Titan anyways, but Spelunking is a really interesting draw. 3, 6, 7, 8. Put in 2 lands from Colossus. Could do that. It might have Counterspell here. Let's start with Summoner's Pact and see if they need to counter this. Because we also have fetch land, so we could pack for Dryad and play it, and then just play fetch land, and even if they have Solitude, they die, so they have to counter the Dryad, and then we can follow up with Cultivator, I suppose. So I guess we get Dryad here. We'll activate our castle here. I guess we can't follow it with Colossus, necessarily. Should we be playing Spelunking here instead? Spelunking first? I don't think so. We're probably just going to win the game if we cast Dryad, but if not, then we will have follow-up soon, especially since we have Colossus backup. So we'll have 3, 4, 5, 6. So we could still Spelunking into, like, Endurance or something if the Dryad doesn't resolve. If Dryad does resolve, I think they're just dead. We can also shuffle everything back into our deck, reset these packs and T-Wests. That's fine. So now we go land Spelunking, put in bounce land. We'll be one short of casting Colossus this turn also, which is quite annoying. We can find more fetch lands though, so I think it's okay to just commit Spelunking here. I guess we could draw Dryad here as well. Ooh, Beseiju, huh? Interesting. Well, we'll probably Beseiju one of these Beanstalks then. Let's, I guess. Is there any reason to Grazer here? I don't think so. Let's just cast Endurance. And with the trigger on the stack, I guess, like, we'll target ourselves with the trigger on the stack, we'll Beseiju, so that we have the ability to search for this in the future. Pass it back to them. They have Binding as well. Man, they've found a lot of the answers that they needed, but now they're on 0 cards with a Jace and 1 Beanstalk binding the ring. That's okay, we have 2 more where that came from, so we do have a pack to pay for, I suppose. How'd they get up to 6 cards? Oh, they drew 2 from the bean. Well, probably bringing in another Force if we get to a game 3. Lorian revealed to draw 3. I mean, now they're tapped down to 4 mana, though. Binding. Okay. Dryad would put this to rest pretty easily. Gonna lead on Ring. Assuming we have enough mana, I'm gonna lead on Ring and then go for Colossus after. Oh, Pact is great. Pact is very good. Interesting. So we can go Pact for Dryad, float 3 from the Garen Brig, play Dryad, and then play Bounce Land and have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I think. We should have enough to go Dryad into Colossus here. We're just playing Summer's Pact every turn, huh? That's the plan. We win the match. Okay, I guess it's that easy. Cool. All right, well, that makes us 1-0, as you can see below my beautiful, pristine head here. That was a very solid match, to be honest. I'm surprised it went that well. Usually this deck is not super great against control, and if we had 1 Hydroid Crisis, I feel like this match would pretty much be a bye, even without Cavern Souls, which is kind of crazy. But anyways, I'll see you guys for match 2, whenever I choose to record it, because it won't be now. Alrighty guys, we are here for match 2 on the play. Grazer and Spelunking, sign me up. Sign me up. It's already done. We've already won the game. You can stop the video here. Well, my opponent's just been kind of sitting there for a little bit. Here we go. There is 1 Arboreal Grazer in store for you, opponent. Hopefully you weren't planning on getting through a 0-3 roadblock. Zagoth Triome, huh? I feel like Spelunking will be pretty good against Zagoth Triome. We'll find out, though, very shortly. Zoner's Pact is fine. I guess there's some chance that we end up transmuting Telarios for something, so I'm just going to go for the Foothills here. I'm assuming if we fetch a breeding pool here that we can choose to have it enter untapped with Spelunking. I don't know for sure, though, to be honest. Raugrin Triome. Okay. Hey, Simic, I guess we're gonna... Oh, wait, we can just actually cast Titan here, can't we? Oh, yes, that's a thing we can do. We have the mana to play a second Spelunking if we want to. We can go Growth Chamber, Spelunking, put in Growth Chamber, and still have 4 to activate Castle. Firstly, I'm going to fetch for that breeding pool and see if we can have Spelunking make it enter untapped. If not, then I'll just play the Summoner's Pact and keep the Spelunking in hand. But this is for science, okay? We need to know. These are important things. Get that breeding pool. I am not going to pay the 2 life. Hey, we can have it enter untapped. That's cool. All right, so here's a Simic Growth Chamber, which we will also have enter untapped. And then we'll pick it up. And then we'll Spelunkin that thing back into play. Drawing Valakut's not bad. We'll activate this one. Actually, I guess before we tap all of our mana, let's just Summoner's Pact. Because if they were to force this, then we could transmute Telarios. Okay, so I guess we're good. Now we probably just keep Bounce Land in hand, to be honest. The question is, am I going for the haste here? I think I am, because we have backup Telarios anyways, so I'm just going for it. See if they have Solitude. They do. Well, at least we got 2 cards for it. Amulet of Vigor, is that you? Honestly, we could even transmute for Dryad, potentially. We pay 4 Growth Chamber transmute, and the next turn we can potentially just go for Colossus, depending. Fairy Time Raveler. Well, it's a good thing we played a second Spelunking, huh? Then they could have bounced... I mean, we'd end up redrawing a card. Bouncing Grazer is interesting. We'd end up redrawing a card by replaying the Spelunking anyways, but... Okay. Do we even replay the Grazer? I don't really see a reason to, now that we've already gotten to the mana that we want to. So let's just transmute this T-West. Just keep bounce land in hand. We'll get Summoner's Pact, set up a Colossus turn next turn, and go from there. I mean, we're going to be drawing at least 3 cards since we have 3 lands in hand, so. And possibly hasting Colossus as well. Wonder if they're on counterspells. Ooh, Dryad is interesting. Well, we probably lead on Dryad, huh? Maybe playing the land there was a little premature, but that's alright. Spelunking looking really good here. We could potentially even just haste Dryad. I don't know about that, though. See what happens with this. If they have a counterspell, they might have to counter this. No? Alright, I'm going to keep the second Valakut in hand here because we want the extra card from Colossus, assuming Colossus is going to resolve. They're fetching here. Maybe they have something to do about this Dryad. A prismatic ending that they didn't exile to Solitude, perhaps. Leyline Binding. Okay, sure. We'll just keep bounce land in hand, and we'll pact for Colossus. Alright, don't fail me now, Cultivator Colossus. We need you to resolve. Please resolve, Cultivator Colossus. Hey, we got a resolved Colossus. That's what I like to hear. Let's see. We'll name, I guess, blue for this. All right. So that's the end of our Colossus here. But we've got some stuff to do, so. We can play Dryad and then Grazer to kill the Teferi, and if they have something to kill our Dryad in response. Although I don't think that they would save the Teferi, but whatever, I'm going for it. We're not going to be using this for the double mana here, so let's just tap it for blue. Play a Dryad. We'll Grazer here. Besage Dryad. Well, we might as well get our free fetch value, I suppose. Get this Teferi out of here and send 1 trigger up at them. Gotta always yes these, or at least the new Valakut. And now we can search. And now we can haste our Cultivator and still play Sprawl and the One Ring, probably. Alright, we'll make some mana and pick it back up. We'll Sprawl one of these and name... I guess it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to name blue again. Play a ring. We'll draw now because they either have to binding the Colossus or the ring and not both. They let it go. Alright, well, we're swinging in with Cultivator Colossus. What do you think about that, opponent? They do have a binding, but they chose not to binding the ring. Interesting. I guess going down to 4 is a little too scary for them. Honestly, it might have been alright. Although it makes a Dryad from us a really big problem for them, so. Alright, untap with ring? Maybe? Yes! Yes, that's what we like to see. Should probably be yielding to that, but that's alright. So for Pact, we'll pay like this. We might want to be able to reuse red mana from Valakut, depending on what we draw. So probably have enough mana to tap Sunken Citadel here, I think. Alright, let's draw with our ring. Hey, Summoner's Pact. That one's not too bad, huh? We could go for Dryad and just kill them with Grazer here. They would have to have exactly Solitude and a white card, so or another Leyline Binding when they've already used 2. I think I'm going for Dryad here. Maybe it's too risky. Maybe we should be going for Titan instead. Or they could just concede and make us not make the decision. That's fine too, I guess. Alright, so we want our One Ring for sure. We want at least a couple Endurances. Beseju is good. And why are these not sorted and so small? There we go. Force of Vigor seems decent against them. Not really super big on Radiant Fountain. Bog is, like, okay. I guess we can have Bog. We'll go 2 or 3 Endurance. Might end up shaving it. I think we want all of our packs, weirdly enough. Oh, right. Before, what I did is I sideboarded out 2 forests and 2 fetch lands, and then cut all of the sprawls, if I'm not mistaken. Alright, that gets us almost there. We just need to cut 1 more. Sunken Citadel lets us transmute T-West, which is important. Probably just trimming a Grazer, that or a second Endurance, or third Endurance, I mean. Probably third Endurance is fine. Well, not both of them. Alright, we'll run like this. Maybe 3 Force of Vigors is a little too aggressive. I don't know, we'll find out. I'm gonna keep this and hope we continue to draw lands, because it has everything else we need. Might just be saving this Grazer for pitching to force purposes. Good old Stomping Ground on 1. Halfling. Interesting. I didn't know that they're still playing this card. Well, let's play our castle in case we do want to play our Grazer next turn, which I'm finding somewhat unlikely, but it's technically possible. If they just play a turn 3 Omnath here, that could be potentially problematic. Good old turn 2 Beanstalk. It's classic. We can definitely force that. It looks like that's all. Okay. Still no land. Fine, it's fine. We're good. We're chill. Please play a second Beanstalk. Running 6. That's not another Beanstalk. Wait. We might just want to go ahead and get rid of this land here in case they don't have another land drop, because we're going to have to discard anyways. I think I'm willing to pitch a Summoner's Pact here. Maybe it's better to pitch Force, though. I think pitching Summoner's Pact is fine. We just gotta hope that they don't have more lands and that this is doing something, because otherwise we're gonna draw, and if we miss a land, go to discard anyways. So maybe this is a little too forward, but Oh, they had to play a Boseiju, so that's a win for me. I'll take that. No Rin Boseiju loops is fantastic. And we missed on the land, too. Well, this is going to be a rough game, guys. Imagine playing 30 lands and not drawing them. See if they have another bean. I just want to use this Force of Vigor. Of course, they have another fetch land to go with this Ren and 6. At least we got a Boseiju out of their hand while we could. Charmaw. Alright, we're done here. I have seen enough. I have seen more than enough. Just, okay. That was cool, I guess. Alright, we'll run it back on the play. I mean, we're going to keep this. We need to draw lands again, but at least this time we have up to 3 mana, so. Lead on Forest go. Lead on Growth Chamber go. Right, we still have not found our third land drop here, so would love to find a land that we can go Dryad into land drop. I guess Bounce Land would be the best pickup. Beanstalk, you got it. Oh my goodness. We could just never draw lands, huh? Well, I guess we're throwing out a Dryad here, or maybe we just hold up Endurance. I don't know. I think I'm just playing a Dryad since we have 3 of them. 30 lands should be enough. I don't feel like it's wrong to cut down to 30 lands in this matchup. Just doesn't look great here, does it? Rin. Well, I guess we would have been able to snipe a fetch land from them, but that's alright. Finally, land. We could transmute this for a bounce land, or we could just play it and hold up Endurance. I feel like committing another creature to the board is going to be good. Let's start by attacking Rin and seeing what they want to do about it. I think I'm playing the Talari West so we can flash an Endurance for their Rin uptick, and then next turn have Ring, even if we don't draw land. Alright, let's not let this happen. Hopefully it's a little more successful than last time we Endurance them. This time we actually get to keep the creature, so feel a little bit better about it already. Tapping for white for legendary spells. Okay, the Ring. I was kind of afraid there would be a Elesh Norn coming down the pipeline, but alas, that was not the case. Alright, let's start by swinging at Ren, since Ren does not have protection, even though they do. And we'll go ahead and play Ring and draw right now, since they can't Leyline Binding us. Land? I'll take that land. That's a good land to have. I don't mind what our hand looks like right now. See if they have a binding for my Ring. I'm kind of relying on this Ring to get us to Titan mana here. Good old Om Nom. Oh, they just let the Rin die, by the way. They didn't even chump block. That was kind of unusual. Guess they have plenty enough lands in hand. I don't know. Good old Zagoth. So they've got the full gamut of land types there. And they don't even have to have Dryad of the Elysian Grove to make it happen. Don't you freaking destroy my Valakut. That's so rude. That is so... Charmaw is such an obscene card, dude. I hate this card. They hit the Growth Chamber. Yes, that happens. And we draw a Growth Chamber. I'll take it. Spelunking? No Spelunking. Force of Vigor, though. Not doing a whole lot at the moment. I guess we're gonna play out Dryad here. We could just hardcast Force on the Beanstalk. I don't really see a reason to do that, though, so we'll just Dryad and then pass back. Can't even attack because they're bored. It's just a bunch of 4/4s. I guess at some point we can force Pitching Grazer to hit the Beanstalk and like a Leyline Binding. Let's say they binding our Ring. That'd be kind of nice. This deck is so annoying to me. This is one of my least favorite decks in Modern right now. Second Beanstalk. We could potentially be forcing that. Leyline Binding. I don't think we will. I think we're going to hit the Binding, because we need to continue to find land drops here. Probably should have forced the Binding and Beanstalk with the trigger of the Binding on the stack, so they couldn't draw an extra card. I'm over here getting my sweet F6 value, and just maybe letting them draw an extra card for no reason. Another Beanstalk. That's a lot of Beanstalks, I'm not going to lie. Let's just do this now, though, I guess. Thank you for your service, Arboreal Grazer. You will be missed. Dovin's Veto. Against me? Okay, you got it, I guess. If we draw an untapped source, we can just slam Titan with double Dryad on the field. They only have 1 mana up. It's probably Binding, it seems like, but they could also have Solitude, but they couldn't Binding both Dryads. We don't have a Vesuva in the list, I don't think, so we can only get 2 Valakuts into play. They do have Binding, and they're just casting it now, huh? Hitting Endurance. Okay, if that's how you want to play it. Just draw untapped land to punish, please. Untapped land. We just need one of those, like, 1,000 basic forests that we play. Just a single one. That's all I'm asking for, is a single, lonely little basic forest. Well, we're not going to double block here because hopefully we can spike the land. Just any untapped land. Any single untapped land. Even bounce land would do it, because we can float with the forest, pick it up, and then replay it. So any bounce land, untapped land, anything. Land. Come on, land. Oh, Force of Vigor. Puke. Gross. I still want that untapped land, but dang it, now it doesn't work. Okay, well, I guess we're just playing Dryad out and setting up our mana for next turn. Can we beat 3 up the Beanstalks? That is the question. Oh, and an active ring on 3. It's not feeling good. It's not feeling good at all. I guess with Amulet, our hope would be to set up a double Amulet turn, but even Amulet on this board state, I don't know that we could win. And you can't blame me for finding this deck annoying, right? Just like gaining life to offset the life loss from the ring every turn with Omnath, getting extra mana value from Omnath, having all the cards in the world, every freaking thing you cast draws multiple cards, freaking Obsidian Charmaw in the sideboard. Like, I mean, like, how is this not just absolutely disgusting? It's whatever. Well, I guess that makes us 1-1, unfortunately. I freaking hate 4-color so much. I really hate that deck. I have the time to record a couple of matches just all at once here over the weekend because for some reason this weekend isn't as hard for me medical school-wise, so I have some extra time, and I figured if I'm going to go ahead and play through the rest of this league, I might as well do it with chat or whoever wants to show up. We are currently 1-1, so let's jump in here for match 3. All right, and it looks like we've been paired. Pull this back over. On the play. Love that. Absolutely love that. I'm going to say yes to this one. Send the keyboard into the lap. Time to go. And we have the quintessential Garenbrig Sunken Citadel hand here, so we are going to keep this. This is a turn, like, 4 Titan or something. No, this is a turn 3 Titan, isn't it? Can't even do my own math here. Because Sunken Citadel is 2 mana. I guess we're naming blue here for Tolaria West, since we do play that. So we can go land into Garenbrig and have a turn 3 Titan just off of having both the Sunken Citadel and the castle. So you're seeing the power of the new cards from Ixalan already. Mishra's Bauble, eh? That's what we're working against. Steam it. So Murktide, most likely. One Ring's not a bad pickup at all. Let's go with the Windswept Heath and pass. Probably fetch a tapped Breeding Pool. Though we don't really need to. We could just get Basic Forest to play around mainboard Blood Moon, which is not unheard of. Although we have tons of Basic Forests to play around Blood Moon, so don't necessarily need to do that. Although we already have double blue for Tolaria West set up, so I think I'm just getting the Basic Forest here. Our opponent's representing Counterspell. We probably just jam into it, to be honest. Utopia Sprawl. Well, we can cast that before we do anything else. I doubt our opponent counters this, and if they do, then I guess they got us. Okay, this one we'll name green, I guess. Maybe it's good to name red for the purpose of hasting, but alright, well, we're just gonna go for the most mana efficient play. We can't sit around waiting for Cavern of Souls because I don't believe this list plays one. If we do, it's in the sideboard. I'm gonna go check real quick, actually, because I'm curious. Yeah, no Cavern of Souls. I was thinking that one in the sideboard could be good. They have the counterspell. No surprises there. Well, next turn we either get to One Ring or pact for something, depending on how we're feeling. Maybe they just, like, tap out here, because they're like, what is the likelihood that they have another threat here? Could just ring. Summoner's Pact plays into Spell Pierce, which I don't love, because if they pierce our pact, then we end up doing nothing for, like, 2 turns straight. And there's a TOS Transmute. Well, if we One Ring and draw an untapped source, then we can transmute TOS as well. That way we'll have double pact. Although, if we play One Ring into a Spell Pierce right now, we can't pay. Whereas if we pact and play a tapped TOS, next turn we can One Ring and pay through Spell Pierce, which is interesting. I guess I'm going for the pact. It's also... Oh, hold on. I was going to say it's also the most mana efficient play, but then I realized that we have to pay 4 for the pact on our next upkeep. So we may not be able to play Ring next turn anyways. Tough decision. I feel like... maybe going for... I mean, if we go for Titan, what exactly are we setting up here? That's the question. We don't really have much to set up. Probably just, like, Valakut and something else. We don't really have a plan for that yet. So I think we're just going to jam the Ring, actually. And we'll leave the Sunken Citadel up for the reasons mentioned before. If they want to counter this, that's fine. Hope they don't have the Spell Pierce. I do not live in fear of Spell Pierce. Maybe I should, but I don't. It resolved. Nice. That's what we like to see. All right, untap land for Transmutation. Transmutation, that's a word, I'm sure. Right, we'll just play Valakut pass. Now that gives us more information for what we want to search with our Titan, assuming our Titan does eventually resolve, so not super worried about that. I feel like just going for the Ring immediately is probably better. I don't know, though. They fetched a Breeding Pool, which is weird. I wonder what they're playing green for, like Tarmogoyf. Oh, wait, no. Menguchi popularized playing the new, what is it? It's an adventure. It's an adventure card. Seek the Beast, and then, like, a prowess creature on the other side or something like that. So maybe that's what they're doing with this green mana. Expressive Iteration isn't super scary here, especially if they don't have a counterspell. I imagine if they had the counterspell, they would have countered our Ring, so probably greenlit to just Summoner's Pact and go get them. Murktide Regent. Maybe just playing the Murktide, too. It's like that. Oh, Heat the Grazer. That's not going to work for you, opponent, because we have protection, so you're not going to get the Ragavan treasure here. That might be a game-losing mistake on their behalf there. Assuming that it was a mistake in the first place. Maybe they intended to do that, I don't know. Let's lose our Ring life. We'll draw 2 before doing anything else. Misty Rainforest isn't super helpful here. Although I guess we could, like, get Dryad, play Fetch. We could... nah, I don't really want to go for Dryad here. I'm just going to go straight for Titan. It's more raw power and sets up another TOS for us, potentially. Or we could just win. I'll take that too. That was maybe the best possible thing to happen. So we want our ring and endurances and relics, because we're going to be grinding this out. Bajuka Bog to keep their graveyard under control. Boseiju, Radiant Fountain. Explosives is debatable. Since they have the Seek the Beast creature, Explosives on 2 is like a little better because it hits Shredder and that one, but I don't know that we really want it. Colossus is bad against Dress Down. Spelunking seems good, except for against Spell Pierce specifically, but we also have One Rings and Utopia Sprawls to get hit by Spell Pierce, so it's not like we can really play around it. Sunken Citadel and TOS seem decent here. And we have Blood Moon covered pretty easily. Man, what do we even want to sideboard out? We can probably trim a pact or two. And if we're cutting on packs, we can trim a TOS. We don't need, really, to go long with Garandrig, but having a speedy Titan is kind of important. We can trim one Citadel and one Garandrig, because they're clunky. Actually, I guess Garandrig is better than Citadel, since Garandrig actually ramped us, but for Citadel to work, we need to have a Garandrig in play for it to do anything. So trimming on Citadels before Garandrig makes sense to me. 4 more cards. Sprawl is... Sprawl's not a great top deck, so we can trim on Sprawl. We want a couple of them, but not a lot. And then... I feel like 4 Endurance is just good, to be honest. Could trim on Spelunking, but I don't really see a reason. Guess it's kind of slow against them. Trim down to 2 Spelunkings, maybe. Go this way. Just play a grindy mid-range Amulet game plan. And by Amulet game plan, I mean no amulets, no Spelunkings. Well, I mean, we have 2, but just play the grindy mid-range Titan deck that uses Endurance to tempo our opponent. This is debatably one of the matchups that's supposed to get better for us than just playing a regular Amulet Titan list. We need to draw something early to play, but we're definitely keeping this, because Amulet is really weak to Blood Moon, whereas this deck doesn't care that much about Blood Moon. Like, it turns off Dryad and Valakut, but everything else that we're doing is still the same power level, pretty much. And we have tons of green sources, so Spelunking is actually perfect for the draw that we have here. Gonna fetch Basic Force to play around Blood Moon, of course. And play out our Roadblocker here, unless they're gonna Stern Dismissal Arboreal Grazer. You're welcome to do that if you want to, opponent. I've seen Murktide opponents bring in Stern Dismissal against us, and I don't really understand it. I don't think it's particularly good, but, they can do what they want to do. We need to draw, like, 2 back-to-back lands, 1 for turn and 1 for Spelunking, assuming Spelunking resolves. Maybe not the best assumption, but... They 2 top 0 bottom with Preordain. Slam a Rag. Okay, well, the Spelunking should resolve. Oof. Endurance is really nice, though. I feel like we need to get Spelunking in play, try to make some mana progress, set up for a Titan turn next turn, potentially. Do we want to get blue in play? I don't see a reason to. Let's just play around Blood Moon some more. Draw a land here. Draw a land here. Yes, there we go. There we go. That's what we like to see. Have an Enter untapped to represent something and pass back. We'll not be attacking with Arboreal Grazer, that's for certain. And then next turn, we can either cast a Titan if we want to just jam it, or cast an Endurance during our opponent's turn to cut off Unholy Heat and Murktide lines and make them tap their mana during their turn, and if they do so, then we can untap with Titan. Obviously, our opponent could have something like Subtlety to interact with our Titan and mess up that line, but that's a risk we are forced to run into. There's nothing we can really do about that. Honestly, if they Subtlety a Titan, I'm not sure 100% whether we put Titan on top or not. Because we have 3 of them. I mean, I'm a big Titan fan, but I don't know if I'm this big a Titan fan. Maybe I am. Them leading off on Preordain is good news for me, I'm pretty sure. If they did play and fetch here, we could potentially just, like, pitch Endurance to try to cut them off of Murktide, if that's what their plan is here, but it would only be a 4/4 Murktide with 2 instants or sorceries in the yard, so I don't know how much I care about that. I do have the fetch. Looks like they're not going for it anyways. Definitely block. It's a very easy block. And pass it back, huh? No land. Very sad. So I guess we're holding up Endurance. If they fetch here, I will cast Endurance. They didn't. Very wise. Just going to combat. Well, oh, they're not even attacking. Interesting. Well, here's an Endurance that we're just going to jam anyways, because we don't really have anything else to do with our mana. You can counter this if you want to. Won't bother me. This is really awkward for them, though, because if they have counterspells, they probably have, like, 1 or 2. They might have, like, a Dress Down or something, but it's going to leave them shields down as far as, like, Unholy Heat and Murktide Regent are considered. Like, they're not going to be able to play those cards if they let the Endurance resolve. However, if they counter it and they don't have a follow-up counter for the potential Titan, then they just lose. So, like, this is really awkward on them. It's one of the reasons why Endurance is so dang good against Murktide. A Ring. Again, that walks straight into Spell Pierce, but I think the mana efficiency of playing Ring over Dryad and the potential that we can top deck a land here, like a bounce land, and like set up for a Titan turn next turn if the Ring resolves is high enough that I think we just want to cast this. Potentially, if we drew a bounce land next turn, we could play bounce land, tap 3, play Dryad, play bounce land again, activate Garandrig, and go for Titan all in the same turn. They have the Pierce, Seek the Beast. Okay, so this is the card I was talking about before. They hit Alpine Moon and Fetch Land. So Questing Druid is a 1/1 that gets a +1/+1 counter whenever they cast a spell that's white, blue, black, or red. And then Seek the Beast is exile the top 2 cards of your library until your next incept you may play them. Do we even swing with the Endurance here? If they just like bolt Ragavan and get in, I don't know how bad that really is for us. We're pretty far ahead in the race, and we have a Dryad or a Titan that could potentially resolve down the line to continue to roadblock Ragavan, so I kind of just want to attack here, I think, but definitely debatable. It's not necessarily a free attack if they have a bolt, but it's all good. If they Alpine Moon naming Valakut here, that would be a bit of a shame, but fine. Questing Druid has entered play. Good old Quirion, whatever it's called, Quirion Dryad. Alpine Moon on Valakut, presumably. Because we have Spelunking, we could still potentially haste a Titan off Hanweir if we wanted to. Didn't get punished with a bolt, so that's good. Land. Oh my gosh. Let's just have all 4 Titans in hand. That's cool, I guess. Here's one Dryad that no longer matters, technically. Probably tapped about the worst possible way. Tapping the Garen Break, showing that we're not going to be doing anything else this turn, but may not matter. Probably can't afford to attack with Endurance here against the Questing Druid, either. Because any spell... Well, I guess... A single spell lets us trade with the Druid. I'm gonna attack. I think this is the last turn we can afford to attack with Endurance, though, to be honest. Like, 2 spells, and they get to eat our Endurance for free, so if they just have, like, Consider and Consider, or, like, Opt and Opt... They don't play Opt, I don't think, but they might play Consider. Or, like Unholy Heat plus... I don't know. They would have to have 2 spells here, and I don't feel like that's likely. If they want to trade Questing Druid for Endurance by double blocking, I'm totally okay with that. Looks like they maybe don't. They go to 8, sure. Iteration growing the Druid. This would be a good matchup to have Cavernous Assault. We have Bog to search for with Titan if we get to the point where we want to do that. I'm assuming they exiled and played the Flood Strand. Going in, huh? Well, our Dryad is not doing much now. If we get a Titan Resolve, we could Besage away the Alpine Moon and unlock Dryad from the current standstill thanks to the Alpine Moon. It gets the Ragavan off the field and potentially trades for a mana and a card. Like, I can't... I mean, I can imagine this going poorly for us, but I can't imagine it being too bad. And we're not going to block the Druid until it's a little bigger, because we can get more value than 3 life from our Arboreal Grazer here. They do have the heat, which is fine. It's 1 less heat for our our quad Titans here. First Titan can set up a Bajuka Bog, as mentioned. Still traded for 2 cards from them, which is a good trade in my opinion. And we get to attack and put them down to 5. That's not nothing. Technically, if Titan resolves and we get to attack with both and they have literally nothing, they're dead, but there's a very small likelihood that happens, because we'd also have to draw a land also. So, fetching basics now. 4 cards and 7 life. Not enough to hard cast a Subtlety, so this would be the turn to start playing into Subtlety for sure. They're heating the Endurance. Makes sense. Alright, land and no counterspell, please. Alright, there's the land. Thank you, Castle Garenbrig, very much. Here's 1 Primeval Titan. There's the counterspell and a passing of the turn, or perhaps a dress down. I wonder, so if they were to cast Seek the Beast here and exiled like a Subtlety, they have the counterspell. I don't know why they tanked on that. Obviously, you just counter this, right? If they had to Seek the Beast there to get a Subtlety from exile, I don't know if they could pitch cast it or not. I assume they probably could. We'll probably take our block now, I think, since we're on the Slam Titan every turn. I mean, if we let them draw a heat or bolt for our Grazer, then we're going to be minus 6 life because of it, or more. I feel like just taking our 6 life now is fine. Not worried about a second Ragavan. Who cares? Narset Parter Evade. Okay, I guess that's good against One Ring. They minus and reveal. Oh my gosh, of course they reveal a freaking counterspell. Well, we don't really have much recourse here. We just have to slam it. We'll use a Sprawl here because we can, unless they want to counter that, which I highly suspect that they would not want to. And we'll just keep slamming. They'll run out eventually, right? Right? This Questing Druid is doing a lot of work against us, to be honest. Counterspell number 3 down. See if they have counterspell number 4. Iteration. I mean, it's not the worst news for us, but... I mean, we have to jam Titan here, but I don't even know what we can do with it, to be honest. If we get double bounce land, play bounce land, we can play second Titan and haste one of them. Seek the Beast, okay. Looking for a Subtlety again, probably. They exiled... I can't see. Preordained Mishra's Ball, okay. Titan resolves. It's big news. So we can get Bog Bounce Land, then play Bounce Land for turn, and play another Titan. Thank you for the follow, Croft. I think I like Bog Bounce Land. We definitely want both of these to enter untap. Just hitting 3 here as the shortcut to get them to enter untap like that. We'll just always yield to this, I guess. Technically, we could play Castle Garenbrig if we wanted to. Here's a heat. We were playing around this, but it also means that our Titan is on chump blocking duty. If we had Slayer's Stronghold here instead of freaking Hanweir, that actually would be insane. We probably want the Growth Chamber in hand, I have to assume, so let's just pick up the Growth Chamber. I just said, I'm gonna do it again. How about a second Primeval Titan? How do you feel about that one, opponent? I mean, this one literally is just letting us transmute Tolari West and chump blocking. So I don't really think there's anything else we can actually do here. to be honest. So we, for us, I guess, we'll go Sunken Citadel and Simic, I guess. I guess technically we could transmute for a Grazer and pack for Grazer and play it, so that way we don't have to chump with Titan. The next turn we can, like, attack and try to set up, I don't know, something. Keeping a Titan in play is better than not having Titan in play, right? Is there any chance that we want double bounce land here instead? We could pick up, like, Bog and bounce land. Oh, wait, no, wait. Yeah, we could pick up Bog and something else and still transmute. Yeah, let's get... I don't know that it really matters, to be honest. So let's make extra mana. Let's get Sunken Citadel on blue. We want them both to enter untapped. And then to the bounce land trigger, we'll pick up Bog, I guess. We could potentially just go for Colossus next turn, since they most likely don't have the counter. Although Colossus doesn't draw us cards thanks to Narset, so that's not really a line. Let's get packed, and I guess just pack for Grazer now? Although they could just kill a Grazer, but a Bolt would not kill Titan. Like, so if we just let this go and next turn pack for Titan, play it, haste it. I mean, that gives them a window to draw a counterspell, though. I feel like we're casting the pact here. It's kind of loose, but... Spell Pierce. No, it's a Spell Pierce. Okay, well now we probably just lose unless... I don't know what else we could get, to be honest. I don't want to do this. Pass back. The list that we were playing is actually Mono Green Valakut. You can see the list there. I actually started recording this on my own for a YouTube league, and then I decided I'd had the time to do a couple of matches all at once here, so I figured I might as well stream the rest of it, because I can. Another Cresting Druid is probably spelling death for us. Looks like we're just a little too slow. If we could have chunked with Titan and gone for Colossus next turn, if they didn't have this freaking Narset in play, then we might have been able to get somewhere, but Ragavan Dash, Yeah, I don't know if there's anything we can actually draw here. If there is, then we'll find it, but... So, the interesting thing about the Hive Mind list is that whenever I was just naturally using the Citadels and 4 Telarios and Spelunkings and stuff and just doing normal Titan things, but like with that mana base, it felt very good. Hive Mind itself didn't really make much of an impact. Like, there were a couple of times I was able to win with it and it was really cool, and so don't get me wrong, that was really fun. But I don't think that Hive Mind itself is actually particularly good. But I do think a list like that, not playing Dryad and going all in on just like Spelunkings and, you know, a full set of T-West and stuff, that actually has a lot of utility to it. So obviously we're just dead here, so I'm gonna sweep it up. All right, game 3. Spelunking still seems actually very good against them. I mean, it's not great against Pierce, but there's not much we can do about that. Maybe we trim Sprawl here, just keep Grazers. Sprawl is a really bad top deck going late, whereas Spelunking is a bit better. Like, we want some amount of Sprawls to, like, have early plays, but maybe we could trim another Summoner's Pact, since we have so many other cards to play and not a whole lot of mana. And then maybe, like, one Garen Break. Actually, Garen Break does seem pretty important here, though. Trim Citadel actually was pretty good there, too, though. Guess we just trim Breeding Pool. I don't see us fetching for it, so... Maybe we could be keeping in second TOS, but yep. I really wanted Hive Mind to be good, and for the time that I was playing it, it was really nice just to be able to play Hive Mind and kill my opponent with pack triggers and stuff. And the one thing that's really nice about Hive Mind is when you kill your opponent, it's so easy. You just play the Hive Mind and you play some packs and they just die. Like, there's no complication to it at all, which is amazing. It's the best feeling in the world. But the problem is, Hive Mind is a 2-card combo when we could just be playing a single Cultivator Colossus or Titan or Dryad plus Valakut shenanigans. You know, the Valakut just naturally being a land drop that we made and not really being a card if you think about it. And it's like, those are all 1-card things that are very powerful, whereas Hive Mind is on its own is not particularly powerful. So it just didn't feel ideal, sadly. But the shell for the list did. I really like the whole Sunken Citadel, Garen Brig, Telari West tech, so that's probably something I'll explore a little further in the future. All right, we have Utopia Sprawl and no Forest, even though we're playing like 16 of them. Or double Arboreal Grazer that do nothing. I guess we'll mulligan this. Okay, this hand's not bad. Do we even keep the Besage? Like, with the double fetch, I just don't think we even care about Blood Moon, so they could have Alpine Moon, which is a little annoying, but I think I'd rather have Blood Moon covered just by having basics. Speaking of basics, here goes. Just put in the Growth Chamber now. We don't have a reason to hold on to Growth Chamber like an Amulettitan deck would, since we're not actually playing Amulet, we just have Spelunking, so just get our ramp out, get the tap land out of the way. Dryad or Spelunking to play this turn would be the best possible top deck. Probably Spelunking specifically. Like, Dryad would be good, like, don't get me wrong, but Spelunking to keep the cards going and ramp would be very nice. Played a tap Steam Vents, that's interesting. Spelunking. Grazer. I mean, we'll take that, I guess. Oh, I should have played the Verdant. We're on the play here, so it won't matter, but if we were on the draw playing Verdant and fetching out the Forest, instead of doing what we did here, would have been important, but it's all good. And now, we just have to play the guessing game of, does our opponent have Counterspell exactly? I guess they could have Spell Pierce as well. So maybe waiting a turn if we draw a land to play around Spell Pierce is worth it. Or we could just slam Summoner's Pact. Maybe they Spell Pierce Summoner's Pact and we just don't pay and then we slam the ring. Well, now that we have the Pact, and since we can draw a land next turn, probably going for the Pact is the best play. We also don't lose the Blood Moon no matter what happens here with this Pact. Like, if it resolves and they counter Titan, then we're still in good shape because we just pay. Although, obviously, it doesn't let us resolve our ring, which would not be ideal, but it's all good. Here's a Titan that we're just going to slam because there's no use waiting. We have the counterspell. Feels like Murktide always has the counterspell on turn 2 there. Like, they only play 4 of this card and no other 2-mana things that actually counter Primeval Titan. They could have, like, Dress Down, I guess, which they only play, like, 2 of anyways. But, like, they always have exactly actual counterspell. We don't really have another choice, though, so I don't feel bad about casting into it. Preordain, which I guess they'll play. Sure. Well, we just need to keep drawing threats at this point. Let's not lose the game. Although it doesn't actually necessarily prevent us from losing the game, it just means we're not losing the game immediately. Endurance is not bad. That's a threat, and I'll take it. Our opponent should have led on turn 1 Ragavan, so these Grazers would have been doing something. No Subtlety up. Seems like an interesting Endurance angle. Spelunking as well. If only this just made 6 green mana, then we could play both of these, but alas, that's not the case. Probably just going for an end-of-turn Endurance into untap Ring. I mean, we could upkeep Endurance to play around Murktide, which has a similar effect. I don't know if it matters whether we upkeep it or instep it, but I'm going to go with upkeep because my intuition tells me that's probably the right thing to do. Untap land to play this ring through Spell Pierce would be kind of nice. Our opponent's thinking really hard about this Endurance. They don't like it, huh? It doesn't really do all that much if I'm being completely honest, but at least we have a body on the board. Next turn, we can just slam Spelunking if we don't really draw anything else that we want to make an attempt at. Seek the Beast, exiling Iteration Tarn. Seek the Beast is almost like having an extra 4 copies of Iteration, now I think about it. Titan ain't bad. Since they would have to pitch to Subtlety, I'm going to elect to Titan this turn over anything else. Also, our 1 ring is still going to be weak to counter magic, like Spell Pierce. The Titan forces them to have counterspell or Dress Down. Either way, I'm happy. Dude, they're great at having these natural counterspells. I guess they have a lot of ways to try to find them, but I guess a single Hybrid Krasis in a matchup like this would go a long way. Questing Druid is very annoying in this matchup. I feel like Druid is very good, at least against us specifically, if not just overall. Because Druid allows them to have an actual clock against us, and one that really compounds over time. Untap land for Ring. It's not an untap land, but we can just play Spelunking this turn. It's playing a little slow, maybe too afraid to just Spelunking here, since we're kind of going to be clocked by this Question Druid pretty soon. But, are they countering this? I mean, that's why we're playing this before playing the ring. On top of it is if they decide to counter this, that's one less counter our ring has to get through, but... Or maybe they were thinking about Seeking the Beast in case they hit a Spell Pierce or something? Trying to imagine situations where they get Titaned here, or just hard casting Force. I guess that's fine. Still swinging with Endurance here, I think. We'll play the Valakut out so we can ring next turn through Spell Pierce. How is it that they still have 6 cards in hand while we have 1? We even have an extra card from the Growth Chamber itself. It's just all these Seek the Beasts and Expressive Iterations, I guess, although I don't think they actually casted the iteration. Ugh. And Narset blanking our ring. I guess it doesn't blank it, because we can still draw 1 card during their turn. So we could, like, play it during our main phase, gain protection, and then during their turn draw a card. It's a pretty costly way to go about it, but it is technically possible. Blood Moon does nothing against us, practically. It turns off Valakut, that's about it. 4/4 Questing Druid, huh? Titan? Cool. Can't cast it, but we will cast this one, and we'll pass and draw on their turn, so we actually get the card draw. I don't think it matters when we draw with the ring, but let's just draw now. Land to cast our Titan isn't bad. Our opponent is down to only 2 blue mana as well, so eventually that could become relevant. Now they're down to only 1 blue mana. I guess they have Subtlety. They're also down to 6 minutes on clock, by the way. They double bottom with the Preordain. Interesting. Okay. This Questing Druid is getting a bit out of hand, huh? DRC. Oh, I guess we can't bog them, which is kind of annoying. I mean, we are gonna cast this Titan. Let's take a Trump, I guess. 7 is kind of a lot. Oh wait, did we just play the ring? Oh, that was such a stupid... Oh well, is what it is. That's why you attack into the ring sometimes, by the way. Sometimes your opponents forget that they have the ring in effect, so... See if they have the Subtlety. Our opponent's tanking really hard here. Well, there's not much we can really do here other than getting some basics, so let's just do that, I guess. I guess we can attack. Is attacking horrible here? They get to double block, we take care of one of their things. I'm gonna attack. Screw it. Swing. I see trading here as a net positive. Killing the DRC for the flying. Down to 7. Have heat for the Titan. Sad. Dude, we would be in such a commanding position if it weren't for this Narset. Oh, they have double heat. So are we just dead then? 11 till 13. We're at 5. Down to down to 3 if we activate the ring for our single card. If we were to draw exactly Boseiju and Titan, we could Boseiju Blood Moon, Titan get Bounce Land, Hanweir, play Hanweir and attack for lethal. If they have nothing, they are seeking the beat. Let's just draw now. Oh, there's the Boseiju. That was part of the puzzle. We could also draw during their turn to see if we can find an Endurance, but then we just die to our own ring, so probably not the move. Another ring would give us an extra turn and like a card. Dryad would let us get some Valakut triggers, but probably not enough Valakut triggers. 10 plus 5 is 15, down to 3. Okay, we're not dead. Oh, they hit the ring off the top. Of course they hit a 1 ring. Oh, that's funny. Should have, actually, I'm not going to say we should have let them exile Boseiju, because the Boseiju might win us the game here, depending on what we top deck, so. Oh, actually, Dryad would be lethal, especially if they tap out here. Oh, it wouldn't be lethal exactly, because of the 1 ring protection. It'd be close. Dude, of course they had to hit 1 ring from us. Ugh, gross. Well, we're just dead to our 1 ring now, I think. See what we can top deck here, see if our Boseiju is enough to get us there. Dryad. It's so close. It's so close, but again, we would have won this game potentially if they probably would have just killed the Dryad if they didn't cast a ring here, but we would have been able to Boseiju Blood Moon, swing for 3, put them to 4, play Dryad, play Fetch Land, and fetch and kill them with 2 Valakut triggers, but alright, that was close. Alright, so we are now 1-2, and let's jump in here for the 4th match. Alright, we have our game on the play. Gonna say yes to that one. Turn 1 Grazer into turn 3 Ring with a Garandrig ready to go. 2 Garandrigs actually, pardon me. We take these. We kind of need like an extra 3-drop or 2. The one thing about this deck that's kind of unusual is how picky our hands can be, because like we want something on 1, something on turn 2, and something on turn 3 every single time. Usually that card is going to be 1-drop into 3-drop into Titan on turn 3, but like we don't always have the cards for it, and so that is one of the things that makes this deck a little clunky. Halfling. Like, we're not actually doing anything here, so we'll just play our land and pass. Whereas if we had Dryad or Spelunking, or maybe we could even be playing like an Azusa or something like that, just some impactful 3-drop, just to try to make it more likely that we have the 1-2, the 1-3, 4 or 6 like curve, because our curve is usually 1-drop into 3-drop into either the 1 ring or Titan. Although I think with Citadel, it is possible to curve into a turn 3 Colossus. Maybe, maybe not. I haven't thought through the lines on that. Another halfling? Well, fetch lands are very good against Yawgmoth, since we can set up a Valakut turn and just go ping, 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 ping. Speaking of the devil, huh? So we could Dryad here and hope to spike a Titan, or we could just 1 ring. If we Dryad, it could just get Gristed, so I'm not really inclined necessarily to play Dryad immediately. I think I'm going to go with the 1 ring. We can play Dryad the same turn we have Valakut set up, so that they can't interact with it with Grist. I guess we're going to pass because they might be holding up Orcish Bowmasters here, so we'll draw either in response to Bowmasters or during their upkeep or something. See if they want to... Yep, they have the Bowmasters. We'll just draw now. More fetch lands is good if we draw a Valakut. We could draw Valakut off of our 1 ring and go Valakut, Dryad, fetch land, and kill 2 creatures. That wouldn't be bad. I would not mind to see that happen. Could also just draw a Titan and Garen bring the Titan into play. That is also possible. I will draw into the face of this Orcish Bowmasters, though. I do not care. Imagine if this Dryad had been on turn 2, though. The curve of 1-2 into 1 ring would have been so nice. We'd be setting up for a kill next turn. But we drew the cards just a little out of order. There's a Yogg. Interesting. We'll take our block here. So the interesting thing with the way Ring and Bowmasters triggers work is if we draw with the ring, our opponent can put the triggers on the stack, sack the token for a Yogg value, and then get another token, and before the next trigger resolves, sack that token to get more Yogg value. I mean, we don't really have anything else to do, so we're going to go ahead and show this in action, but it's very... or they could just... they still can do it. They just put everything on the stack. So they can sack the army right now, before they make a new one, or they can just let the army grow, I guess. That's fine, too. Not gonna lie, we didn't have the most impactful draws, which I'm not super happy about. Still don't know if it's right to actually play Dryad, though. We're a little ways away from playing Titan and Dryad in the same turn, so I think we're supposed to commit it, and if they grist the Dryad, we'll be a little sad, but at least we'll have more mana for next turn, depending on what happens. We also do have a Cultivator Colossus we could eventually pack into if we really wanted to, although Colossus not looking as great against the Bowmasters, huh? Peatland. We could just be close to dead here. Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Soul Cauldron doesn't necessarily do anything here. Cord for 1. Young Wolf, okay. Is there a combo here or something? Walking Ballista. Okay, this is a combo for sure, because they give the counter to the Young Wolf, ping us, sack it to Yogg, give the counter to Young Wolf, ping us, sack it to Yogg. I think because we're at 2 lower life than them, we probably die here. Yeah, we're definitely dead here, so we're not going to make them go through it. So what they can do is sack the Young Wolf to Yogg, recur it with a plus counter, and then remove the counter using the Ballista ability to ping us again and again and again, so we are dead here. Alright. So against Yogg, we don't really have much for this matchup, if I'm being honest. We probably want explosives, just because it can maybe slow them down a little bit. I don't think we really want the One Ring, because they have Mites and Bowmasters and stuff. Like, the One Ring really isn't great. I think we just side out some One Rings and call it a day. Don't really want Bog or Radiant Fountain, probably. Boseiju for Cauldron, I guess, is good. So we just have an extra Boseiju and just cut all the rings. Hit submit. Ring's obviously a little bit slow against them. Okay, I mean, this hand is... Oh, wait, we don't have the turn 1 Forest, huh? Right, well, that's a pretty easy mulligan then. Here we go. And this one does have the turn 1 Forest, so we'll keep this. Although Explosives on 1, which would probably usually be our plan, is a little awkward when we're leaning on Utopia Scrolls so hard, but it'll be fine. Let's just bottom the Explosives, actually. And we'll go Misty, fetch 4, I guess just basic Forest for all this. Name Blue for Tolari West purposes and pass it back. Actually, we can Boseiju, sprawl the Forest, and then transmute Tolari West next turn if we want to, like transmute for Garenbrig and have a turn 3 Titan here. Or they could have Haywire Might. I mean, that's not so bad though, is it? Well, we're definitely playing Boseiju. Oh wait, don't tap that one. Boseiju sprawl here. Probably naming Blue again, and we'll transmute. Still is probably right to just get Castle. Go for Castle. We have Titan next turn, thanks to Utopia Sprawl. And people like to play freaking Sakura Tribe Elder. I'd like to see Sakura Tribe Elder do this. Although I guess the Sakura Tribe Elder doesn't get Haywire Mighted, but if our opponent wants to spend 2 mana to interact with the Utopia Sprawl, I guess I'm okay with that. I guess they could have Force of Vigor here. That would be really embarrassing. They're debating the Might here as well. They're like, is this worth it? Oh, they're attacking first. Gotta get that 1 point of value. I sincerely hope that they can't Fulminator Mage basics. I'm assuming Fulminator Mage is non-basic. Right, we need another land, or Spelunking. Citadel is quite good. I'll name Blue here for Tolari West once again. Pass it back. Titan next turn. We could even cast Cultivator next turn, although we wouldn't have any lands in hand. Pendlehaven is an interesting one. Yogg does play that on occasion. Seeing the power of the Citadel and Castle once again. We can actually do things. Although playing Titan into Aggress Minus doesn't feel great, but gotta do what you gotta do. Valakut. Okay, well, here's the Castle. We'll tap for 2 here, and play a big, bad... Oh, wait. Is this not enough green? What happened? Did it not? That was really weird. Oh, I see. It's the Citadel's on blue, so we actually just have to tap everything here. That makes more sense. There we go. Mana, kind of weird. All good. So here's a Titan. Probably getting Bounce Land T-West to set up a pack for Dryad into Titan next turn, assuming we have the mana. I mean, we're not going to have the mana to do that all in 1 turn, but we will have the mana to set it up over a couple turns, so play our Growth Chamber T-West here. Pick up the T-West, pass it back. Next turn we can transmute and play another Titan. Are they going to Haywire Might our Utopia Sprawl? Is that the plan here? Get rid of the Utopia Sprawl at all costs? I'm fine with this if this is the way that they want to take it. Or maybe they think that Haywire Might protects them from Dryad, which it doesn't because Haywire Might is non-creature. Well, I guess I really should be showing this card. It's non-creature artifact or enchantment. They plus the Grist here. Maybe they think they're playing around Dryad. They don't have Boseiju mana up because they don't have a legendary creature. Because while on the battlefield, Grist is a planeswalker, not a creature, obviously. So, like, they might just think that they have Dryad covered, and then they're just going to die to it, because they actually don't. Or they could have, like, Force in hand. Oh, they play Boseiju. Well, Boseiju would have answered Dryad, but could have Go for the Throat, I suppose. If you want to Might Sprawl, that's fine, I guess. Get rid of 1 mana. Trading a mana for a mana is fine by me. This is also why we named Blue with our Sprawls and Citadels, is because Tolari West, this is how you enable Tolari West in a mostly mono-green shell. You obviously can name green if you need to activate Garenbrig pretty badly, but, okay, well, unless our opponent has Force, I think they're just dead, so let's, kill them. Make them have the Force, which they never used beforehand, and they've been, like, doubling up on Mites and stuff. Opponent says 1 sec, so sorry. Okay. Well, if they're F6 here, they're gonna come back to a, screen saying you have lost the game. I mean, I'm playing into Force of Vigor if they have it. If they do have it, they've been very, very patient with it, so... We only have 1 extra Valakut here, though, so we play Valakut, target them, put them to 16, attack, get Bounce Land Valakut, and then we still get 1 extra land from the Dryad, so we should have lethal here, assuming we get to attack with a Titan. Play Valakut, we'll save targets upstairs, always yes, always yield, attack with Primeval Titan, bada bing, bada boom. Looks like we're getting there. I guess we just get... Oh, we don't have another T-West in deck, so we just get Hanwir Battlements. Our opponent's just dead. I think they're dead to the attack, to be honest. We always yes this. Of course I want to do the damage. What are you talking about? Yeah, they're dead to the Titan damage here. Oh, no, they're not. They can technically double block and not be dead, but we have the... there we go. We have the post-combat play land, so. Okay, that went rather well. I'm kind of inclined to think that the... Oh, do we... Okay, for a second I thought that we had sideboarded out a Talari West, but the actual case is we transmuted Talari West for that Garen Brig to lift us off the ground there, so just run it back, I guess. We could potentially Relic of Progenitus here, but I don't really think it's great. Ooh, this is great, though. The curve of 1-3 into Titan. I'll take that. We just need to top deck and untap Source. Definitely keep that. And pray that our opponent does not have Force of Vigor. This deck can't really beat Force of Vigor, but that's not super different than Amulet. I guess Amulet's slightly more resilient to Force than this deck is, but we don't worry about these things. And here we just want to name green to ensure that we can activate Garen Brig in case our untapped source is like a Hanweir or something, I guess. Not super worried about getting to Talari West mana with this hand just yet. This is a pod race right now. If they Besage... Oh, they can't Besage our basic forest, so don't have to worry about that. Fulminator Mage would be interesting. They do have the Fulminator. Well... That'll take care of a Valakut, I suppose, but... I mean, obviously that's very annoying. All right, we'll play Castle and Dryad. Just play out our cards here. I guess maybe we Growth Chamber, pick up the Castle. Next turn we could go land Castle and be one short. I guess we could potentially draw a Spelunking and make holding on to the Growth Chamber a little bit better, so we'll just expose the Valakut. They can Fulminator if they want, and they will. Let's see what they have here. Do they have the Soul Cauldron? Have Agatha's Soul Cauldron. So we're getting multi-Fulminator Maged into the floor here. Seems fine. Could have Beseiju eventually to deal with this. They're attacking with the Halfling. I guess it is a 2-3 after all. We'll block. If they remove the counter from it, then now the Halfling will die, so this is fine. Yep. Ugh, and now we have the awkward Bounce Land plus Utopia Sprawl issue. Is it worth playing out the Bounce Lands? I feel like probably not, to be honest, because then they just play a creature and Fulminator us again. So let's just attack and pass. If we draw any untapped or any other land that's not a bounce land, we only play 3 Growth Chambers, by the way. Because of this dyssynergy, we only play 3 Growth Chambers, but we managed to draw 2 of them here, which usually would be a good thing, but against infinite Fulminator Mages, not the greatest. Bowmasters, that's totally fine. I mean, I guess it gives them 2 bodies to Soul Cauldron, but when one of them comes with a plus counter already ingrained. I guess if we go land into Simic, they can Fulminator the other land we play, assuming that it's not a basic land, and then force us to pick up the Sprawl. So that makes things a little extra complicated. We might be getting Utopia Sprawl locked out of the game here. This Soul Cauldron Fulminator combo seems pretty potent, don't you think? How many Fulminators can we try to beat? That is the question, I suppose. We could just draw basics or fetch lands. Or our second Valakut. We could draw that too, I guess. I mean, we just have to play the Valakut, right? They're going to Fulminator Mage it, but we can't play Growth Chamber because then we'd have to pick up the... I guess we could just pick up the Growth Chamber itself if they wanted to Fulminator in response. Get the creature off the battlefield, I guess. Might as well force them to do it. If they let us pick up the... Oh. That was not the best play. We'll just pick up the Valakut then. And I guess we don't attack. My opponent said, dang, that was baller, lol, in the chat. I mean, we gotta do what we gotta do. They should have hit the Valakut to make us either pick up our forest with the Sprawl or the Growth Chamber itself and have not made a land draw. Now we have an actual land in hand that doesn't make us bounce a card, which is better for us. They're out of creatures in the graveyard, though, so I guess once they sack the Bowmasters, they'll have 1 extra, but it's whatever. We have lots of basics and fetch lands. If we could draw those, that would be good. Not to mention that this Valakut is our only way of activating Dryad here, so we don't particularly even want to have to play it. Not another Dryad. Ugh, okay, this is not going so well. We'll see if they make the same play again. They can hit the Growth Chamber if they like. They hit the Growth Chamber again. And not my most favorite play, not gonna lie. They're going straight for the Valakut also. Okay, that's a good play. Or they could let us pick up the Valakut without immediately Fulminatoring us. I don't understand the things that our opponent is doing, but it's okay. That could have gone way worse for us than the way that it did, but it still doesn't mean we're in good position. Can we beat a single Shieldred? I don't know. Feeling like probably not. They Beseiju the Sprawl. That's totally fine. That doesn't really do anything. In fact, it kind of helps us. More basics in play against the potential Fulminator is the way that we want to go. I just don't think we're going to have enough time against this Shieldred. We might be able to buy some time chump blocking with Dryads, but... Our opponent's not playing the fastest either, so... Not that I think they're going to time out. We'll not block here, so we can get multiple land plays this upcoming turn. If we did draw our third and final Growth Chamber, we'd be able to float play Growth Chamber. Spelunking is so close to being good, but also so far away. Ugh. We have so many basic land draws, and we've hit none of them. They exile our Valakut, sure. I don't know why they're not Fulminatoring our Valakut here. Okay. We'll probably just dead here then. Well, this wasn't particularly fun. Ugh, and not drawing a land is just the death knell, for sure. We'll scoop it up. That's very annoying to me, though, because we have literally this many draws, 14 basic lands that would have allowed us to play through Fulminator. 14! And we didn't draw a single one. The second force we got that game was from our opponent's Beseiju. That is freaking gross. That's alright, though. We'll just take the L and move on. We are a 1-3, and here for the final match, I suppose. On the draw. Might be able to make something out of being on the draw. Oof, this is a good hand. I am a fan of this hand. Turn 1, Sprawl. Turn 2, second Sprawl, Sunken Citadel. Turn 3, Garenbrig lets us Titan if we want to. Or just turn 3 Ring. Jawari Ruin. Interesting. I don't know what to make of that. We'll continue with the plan. We'll name green here, I guess, in case our opponent's playing like a Belcher deck and has Blood Moon, since the Sprawl will not fall off a basic force. And then we can Citadel on blue and Sprawl again, and then go from there. Looks like we might be playing against Oops All Spells, perhaps? With the, Amarius Call here. Pentad Prism, yep. Feeling very much like that. Well, there's not much we can do here other than continue to play our cards and hope our opponent doesn't get there faster than us. Our opponent's probably like double Utopia Sprawl, Sunken Citadel. Like, what the heck is happening? We'll name blue with this. Pass to our opponent. Just another turn 3 Titan lineup. This deck is really good at making turn 3 Titan. And Sunken Citadel and Garenbrig really helped that as well. Like, we didn't even have to have... Well, I was going to say we didn't have to have one draw, so obviously that's not true. I feel like this didn't require a lot of setup. Like, this deck is really good at pumping out turn 3 Titans, but the problem is it runs out of gas, and it's also very fickle with its draws. And, like, Amulet Titan makes up for it by being able to kill your opponent immediately sometimes, and setting up for a almost deterministic kill a lot of the times. Whereas, for us, it takes a little extra work to get to a kill. I don't even know if it would be true to say that this deck has a higher chance of turn 3ing a Titan as opposed to Amulet. I feel like it probably does not, especially since Titan can have turn 2 draws. So I will say that's one of the reasons why I haven't revisited this deck a whole lot, is because to me it just seems like it's very obviously worse than Amulet. Well, we can transmute and go for a Titan next turn, or potentially a Dryad. If we play Valakut, transmute for Pact, next turn we'll have 3, 4, 5 mana. We can play Garenbrig, leave red floating, but then we won't have a second land drop to haste Titan. We could also just play the One Ring here instead of transmute, but if we miss on our one ring draws, then it puts us a further turn away from Titan. So I think we use this turn to play Garenbrig and transmute. Go get our Summoner's Pact, pass it back. Opponent has lots of mana, but they haven't done anything else. Maybe they don't have the creature that mills over their library yet. If this were game 2, by the way, we'd have already transmuted for a pact and have set up a turn 3 Endurance with this, so we'd be looking very good if we had Endurance in the deck, but we don't. It wouldn't be super unreasonable to play an Endurance in the main, but it's not necessarily useful against most decks. Looks like they might be comboing us here. Beseech the Mirror, okay. So if they bargain it, they can search for a card that has mana value 4 or less, and they're going for Charbelcher. So we are dead to the Belcher here. Cool. I guess we can see their deck. Might as well. Beseech the Mirror for Charbelcher and activate it on turn 4. Not too shabby. If we Beseiju their lands, they probably don't have anything to search for. Let's see the deck that they are working with here. So they are playing Oops All Spells as well, because they have the Balustrade Spy and Understanding Informer. So we do want access to Endurance here. They play, I see there's 2 Charbelchers here and 1 on the field. So maybe they play 3 Charbelchers, or they could potentially have 1 in hand, I guess. I don't know. Nothing else really to note. So we want the Endurances for sure. We want the Beseiju for sure. Force hitting their mana rocks looks pretty good. So we'll have Force. Ring doesn't help us against them. We probably are not needing Cultivator Colossus in this matchup. Bog doesn't do anything because we can't put it in instant speed. Pact represents extra copies of Endurance, so we want to keep it. Trim on Sunken Citadels, but I don't love it. Probably don't need Breeding Pool. Honestly, we might just not need Breeding Pool overall. It seems like we have a pretty easy time with Sprawl and Citadel for setting up blue, so maybe we could trim a Spelunking, although I feel like Spelunking gives us some more explosive Titan turns, but in general it's kind of slow, so we can trim on Spelunking, I think. 32 lands is probably fine. We could just submit 61, but I don't know about that. Let's just trim a fetch land, I guess, and call it. Alright, we'll be on play. Interesting hand. It's not particularly fast. It doesn't have an Endurance to clock. Why can't I move this? Oh, it didn't even click the dry that I was holding. Yeah, I feel like this is just a pretty easy mulligan. And a hand that would be otherwise fine with a turn 1 Sprawl, turn 2 Endurance, but we have 0 lands, so we'll mulligan again. Cursed League, it's all good. We'll keep. Bottom, I guess, Forest, T-West. Our opponent mulliganed 4 cards, by the way. That's interesting. All right, we'll lead on Grazer Bounce Land and swing it back to them. See what their 5 cards hold here, and if they're weak to Force of Vigor or not. Land go. I can respect that. Foothills. Let's just play Garen Brig and pass. We'll be holding up Hardcasted Force for next turn. So if they play a Pinhead Prism or something, we can just cast it. And then we just need to top deck a Titan from there and see where we can go. Looks like they have the artifact here. Pinhead Prism. Yep, this is to be expected. We will kill this. And Utopia Sprawl along the way. Let's keep the fetch land here. Sprawl this, since it's free. Costs 1 mana, produces 1 mana. Totally fine. Name blue here, since we'll have enough green. I just had to do a quick double check, and we'll force this and pass to them. If we top deck a Titan, then we can just play it. Set up T-West and then attack for some Valakuts next turn. They don't currently have any black sources either, so they're making some mana here with their Pinhead Prism. I wonder what for? Echoing Truth of Pinhead Prism. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Well, we might just be dying to their combo. We could draw a Endurance, perhaps. They go for the Talisman, so maybe they can have land Pinhead Prism here. This gives them the black mana that they'll need for comboing. And they pass. Well, we have a pack. We can try to just pack for Endurance, or we can go for the Titan now. If they have untapped land next turn, they can just combo us. But if we pack for Titan now, I think that puts us in a better position. They didn't play a land that turn at all, so unless they're like sandbagging an untapped land, which they wouldn't do because they would just cast Pinhead Prism there, I think we're good to just cast a Titan and hope for the best. And then we can set up Boseiju with our Titan attack next turn. Or we could just set up Boseiju now, I suppose, in case we don't get to attack. Doesn't seem the worst. We'll set up Boseiju. And we'll go ahead and play out our fetch land and pass. See if they have the combo here. Untap land plus one of their Oops All spells cards, Undercity Informer or Balustrade Spy. That exact combination of 2 cards out of 4 would kill us, presumably. If they're just casting Pinhead Prism here, then we can double Boseiju them. Boseiju the Pinhead Prism and one of their mana sources. The Prismatic Ending Utopia Sprawl. Sure. Fine by me. If we draw Force of Vigor, I will absolutely just play Boseiju, and on their upkeep, hard cast Force on these 2. That's why I bring in Force in this matchup. It's because they rely pretty heavily on these mana artifacts. They have the land. That's unfortunate for us. Okay. Well, we could also draw a Dryad, potentially. If we top deck Dryad, they're just dead. No Dryad, no help. Well, now the Boseiju doesn't really matter. Oh, we can play land. We can double Boseiju here, so it does matter. Last remaining bounce land in deck as well. We get Boseiju Simic. Pick up the Boseiju. We just double Boseiju now and hope that they don't have anything. Go ahead and fetch out a Basic Forest. Play Basic Forest. Boseiju number 1, hitting the Pinhead Prism. Boseiju number 2, hitting, I don't know that it matters at this point. If they brought in a land from the sideboard, then we will have been gotten. They don't have it. All right, so we Boseiju, I guess, the land itself, since they would have to pay life for the Talisman. Now, again, if they have exactly the Balustrade Spy or Informer, and then they have a untapped land, then we're dead, but Jack-o'-lantern, I don't know what this does. 1 mana, 1 tap, exile a card from a graveyard, draw a card, which it looks like they went for. Or 1, exile it from your graveyard, add a mana of any color. So it filters mana. No land drop is pretty big here. Grazer's not pretty big here, but that's alright. We'll attack, get Valakut Hanweir, so we can top deck something to haste. We don't have a way to bounce TOS back to our hand at this point, so it's just Valakut Hanweir. If we draw Dryad, we can't win this way. Oh, and no, if we draw Dryad, we win by attacking with the Titan and getting more lands. So yeah, Valakut Hanweir is definitely the pick. Opponent goes to 4. Do they have exactly the spell plus untapped land source? That is the question. We've been fighting very hard. They have a tap land, but that's not going to be good enough. Unless they have a way to bounce Titan. They have an Undercity Informer to block. Oh, but they're still dead, because Trample will do 3 damage through their block, so. So close. Those Boseijus, huh? Okay. Don't think I'm mind spelunking here. It seems kind of slow, but it's probably good enough. Summoner's Pact is probably necessary. Tolaria West, it seems like it could be important. Garen Brig and Citadel are obviously very important. Boseiju's good. I don't really know what else we would want to cut here. Maybe we can trim a Grazer or 2. 2 Grazers seems fine. We don't want to draw multiple copies of these 1-drops, and I think that Sprawl is probably the better 1-drop. Well, this hand has Endurance, so I guess we have to keep it. They go land, we go land. They hit 4 mana on the turn that we'll have 3 mana to cast Endurance, so I guess we keep. Although I guess they will have the mana artifacts, so I guess worst comes to worst, we can just pitch a card to Endurance to disrupt their combo. We'll play Citadel naming blue to transmute Tolaria West in the future. Let's see what our opponent's up to. Looks like they have an artifact here. No surprises. Right, a green card to pitch to Force, so we still have a Titan to work towards would be kind of nice. To pitch to Force, to pitch to Endurance. I mean, admittedly, I don't know if the Endurance will be good enough to win here or not. Ooh, Boseiju's quite good. Boseiju's quite good. We definitely want to Boseiju this now. We have 2 turns until Titan, and one of those turns can be bought by Endurance next turn. So Not looking too bad. See if they have a land that they brought in from the Pentad Prism. Although I guess playing Titan doesn't, like, ensure that we're getting anywhere, necessarily. If we draw Spelunking, it might be correct to Spelunking in the hopes that we draw a green card. Oh, they cast Memory's Journey. I guess to put the Pentad Prism back on top of their deck. Oh, they shuffled into our library. That's weird. Okay. So they're more likely to draw a Pentad Prism, I guess. Tapped land. Talisman. Alright, so now they are combo ready. We'll play our Garenbrig and pass. We've just drawn all lands, by the way, which I guess is not that super uncommon for this list when we have a little more than half of our deck lands, but this is bordering on ridiculous. We're just lucky that our Grief. Gosh, that's the worst. Well, I didn't expect them to be playing Grief. That's interesting. Well, we just have to let this resolve because they either take Endurance to stop us from disrupting their combo, or they take Titan to stop us from having a clock. Either way, they leave us with a card that we want, so take the Endurance. Understandable. Another Titan isn't doing a whole heck of a lot, so I guess we're just slamming our dude and hoping it's good enough. I don't even know what we set up here, to be honest. Probably just T-West, so we can transmute for Dryad next turn. Just bounce in T-West, force him to kill us now. Alright, kill us now, opponent, or we're gonna untap with Valakut triggers and fetch lands. See if they kill us with a combo here. They're not rushing into anything, just playing a tap land. Looks like maybe they don't have it. Maybe that's just wishful thinking. Another Talisman. Looks like maybe they don't have it. Okay. A little luck on our side. Just a little disruption, a little luck. Maybe that goes enough of the way. They could have Echoing Truth, I suppose, to bounce like Dryad or Titan or something. Can't block anyways. Menace. Force. That's interesting. So we'll transmute here. And then we'll play Fetch Land, Dryad, Fetch Land. Put both of our Fetch Lands in play. That way we could play Titan if they bounce this Titan. But we go to combat. Oh wait, we can't play Titan. We'll be short of that. But we'll go to combat and then attack and get Valakuts. And then we'll have double responses if they have something to bounce the Dryad, I suppose. I don't think there's another way to go about it. We could have played Fetch Land. We're kind of locked into this now. There might have been a better way to do this, but... So, do we want to play the Fetch Land now? We attack, get double Valakut, they bounce Dryad. We need to be able to double fetch in response if we get to that point. So, and we attacked. So I think this is just lethal. Send everything upstairs. GG's opponent. Because they can't deal with both the Dryad and the Titan since we have 12 points of Valakut triggers loaded up here in the fetch lands. So, alright, would you like to block? Even if they had like Angel's Grace or something crazier, we could still fetch on their upkeep and then make them respond and then fetch again. So, it's very hard for us to lose from this spot. There we go. Well, that means that we ended up 2 and 3. Let me pull up the deck list real quick and close the extra windows that popped open. All right, so 2 and 3, admittedly not a super great record, and I do think that we were unlucky in some matchups and lucky in others, but I think that does reflect what I generally think about mono green Valakut at the time of recording this video, and that is that it is just strictly worse than playing Amulet. One of the reasons to play this deck over Amulet is because it's more resilient to Blood Moon, in theory. And that is true as far as casting spells, but the reality is your Titans and Dryads still rely on the lands that Titan is searching for, or the Valakuts that Dryad needs to be a real threat. So, like, yeah, you can play around Blood Moon, but it doesn't really do anything. Like, I guess you can win with Colossal Dreadmaw, I suppose. But, at the very least, opponents leaning on Blood Moon to just knock you out completely like it does Amulet. It doesn't work that way, but it's not enough of a advantage, in my opinion, to be playing this deck over Amulet, even necessarily in a meta full of Blood Moon, which we're not in right now. There's only like 1 or 2 Blood Moon decks, Scam and Murktide, and they don't even play that many Blood Moons, so against Scam, the plan with Amulet is to not even board out Sagas and just disrespect Blood Moon completely, although obviously you play around it with Besages and stuff. What I can say about the deck, though, is I feel like this league did prove that there is a lot of power in using Sunken Citadel and Garenbrig and Tolari West in combination with each other. This is something that I have tested a couple times in normal Amulet shells, and I found this to be quite an impressive synergy, and I think there's definitely more to explore there. Truth be told, they do make the mono green Valakut shell a little more consistent and a little better, and allow you to fix for your additional colors in a mono green deck. So, as far as that aspect is concerned, like actually adding these cards to the deck, I think that this has been a massive success. However, the issue is that mono green Valakut just isn't that good, to be honest. So, Spelunking, honestly, it underperformed for me. in this league, which is really surprising, because I feel like Spelunking has been very good in Amulet, but somehow it seems like in this deck we're not doing much with Spelunking. Maybe it's related to the fact that we only play 3 bounce lands, and so we're not really getting a lot of value out of Spelunking. So maybe it would be better to just be playing Explore, which is really sad, because I actually thought Spelunking would be perfect for this deck. But it turns out that the Saving Grace is a card that I never even considered for this deck. Sunken Citadel seems to be the perfect fit, so I mean, Spelunking is not bad in this deck, per se, but it's not super impressive. I don't know what would be better. Maybe Explore would be better. Maybe Spelunking is just the best card for the slot, but regardless, this deck needs a lot to be functional. It basically just needs to be Amulettitan, so that's the reason why I haven't recorded a whole lot with this. But people were excited to see the new cards in action, and I feel like it has been powerful, but this is not the shell for it, so even though the inclusion of Citadel does improve the shell. So hopefully that gives you some of the conclusions that you were looking for. And I will still continue to have this deck on the back burner, but it's definitely not been on the forefront of my mind since I kind of started streamlining it and realizing that I was just building kind of an Amulet light deck, which is fine, but definitely not better than Amulet. So maybe going forward, trying to increase number of bounce lands and play Amulet on top of these cards as an additional 1-drop that can lead to a turn 2 3-drop and accelerate our power exponentially. That could be something to look at, but I would be concerned trying to accommodate that based on how many untapped green sources we have to play for Sprawl. There were even several hands we had during this league where we just had Sprawls but no turn 1 forest, so definitely this being a huge downside is unfortunate. There is a card that is not yet legal in Modern, but I'm hoping could eventually be printed in with a Horizon set called Wild Growth. So it'll take me a second to pull up. See, I'll go with this one. So this is the card, Wild Growth. 1 green, enchant land. Whenever enchanted land is tapped for a mana, its controller adds an additional green. If this card were legal, then I think that it would be possible to play a deck with 4 Wild Growths instead of Utopia Sprawls, 4 Amulets, and 4 Grazers, and have a bunch of really good 1-drops that ramp you into turn 2 3-drop. The main key being that Wild Growth can enchant any land, and the restriction of tapping just for green is especially a non-issue when you're playing Sunken Citadel as well, and this is naturally a deck that wants to play Sunken Citadels and Garden Briggs. The mana base would be worked around a lot, but this is actually one of the ones that I'm secretly hoping will make an appearance from a Modern Horizon set in the future. I think that would flip this deck on its head and make it much more viable, because Utopia Sprawl, it's very good at what it does, and it is the right card for the slot, in my opinion, but you sacrifice too much to be able to play it. That's why Utopia Sprawl is really reserved to those Arbor Elf kind of strategies. You have to be playing a deck that wants a bunch of actual forests, and usually land matters ramp decks are not those types of strategies. You're just trying to go for fast mana with Utopia Sprawl and those other decks. So, anyways, I've really enjoyed exploring this list, and despite the record being 2 and 3 and not having gone that well, I mean, I feel like with some additional lucky draws or, against Murktide, for example, this could easily have been a 3 and 2, and this is definitely a fun deck to mess around with. So I feel like I've learned a lot from using this deck, and I hope for more improvements in the future. Maybe something like Wild Growth, or perhaps different or better. So anyways, definitely something to keep in the arsenal. But for the foreseeable future, obviously, I'll just be playing Amulet. Hopefully you enjoyed this content, and if you did, then like and follow, and all of that good stuff. And I will see you again real soon with the next video. This is Redface Menace, signing off.